So y'all know we've been running this love and hate series, and today we're gonna do something that we probably have never done before. It's been some TikTok videos out here, and we've been having some discussions about these videos and what they say. We're gonna play the videos for you so you can hear what we're gonna be talking about, and then we're gonna talk about it. So here's the first video.
Listen, some of y'all ladies gonna have to settle. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but listen, everybody can't have a perfect man out here. It ain't even enough of us around. Like, let's be honest. So at the end of the day, we can go ahead and put that 50-50 conversation to rest, because every woman ain't gonna get 80-20, 100-0, whatever y'all thinking is gonna be 60-40. Some of y'all gonna have to go 50-50, and shit, y'all might gotta go 60-40 on your end with the man, just to be happy at the end of the day. Like, let's be realistic. Come on now. Somebody gonna have to settle, man. That's all I'm saying. All the straight men that's left in the world, a lot of them is in jail. A lot of them married. What do that leave left? Everybody can't have their cake and eat it too. Like, you can't have the best of the best. Sometimes you gotta just go for what you got and be happy and be grateful. Because you can have nothing at the end of the day and be miserable. Come on now. J. Cole said, love yours. I gotta take this in consideration.
Here's the second one. Response to that video.
Some of y'all ladies gonna have to settle.
We have. Y'all can't read a room. We've been settling. That's why we're not going for that shit no more. I don't get what y'all not understanding. What are you bringing to our lives at this point? Drama, lies, heartbreaks, cheating, STDs, half of the bills, and subpar D? Y'all can keep that. Y'all get so much more out of a relationship than we do. See, y'all get a wife, mama, babysitter, maid, chef. Y'all get all that shit in one, and what are we getting? Lies and half the bills? See, a smart man knows that a woman holds more value in a relationship than y'all do. So it's always your loss. It's always your loss. And to be honest with you, some of the best dates I've ever been on have been with my girlfriends, where I paid my own bill. So what I suggest y'all do is start dating each other. Shit, it's working for us. I love it over here. And y'all want to be around your boys so bad anyway. Go fuck them.
Sounds so she sounds so angry, man.
So,
I mean,
right.
you don't have to be so hostile when she talks. I mean,
she doesn't sound angry at all.
I'm appalled.
Yeah. So here's the last video. So you heard the guy a reply, and then here's another reply.
So I've seen about 1 million stitches of that guy saying that women are going to have to accept, not having a good man or whatever he said. And it got me to thinking of how we got here. Like, how did we get to this point? And I think I figured it out. So I'm an 80s baby, 90s kid. And one thing that I remember about the 90s is that one of the worst insults you could throw at a woman was that she would never get a man. Like, women really took that personally. They started dating whoever would date them. They started lowering their standards because they were like, well, maybe I'm being too picky. Maybe I need to stop asking for so much. Men still couldn't reach that level. So then they started saying, well, what's wrong? What's going on with me? I don't know what's wrong. And then you know what they did? They started going to therapy. And decades later, that's why we see where this shift is taking place. Women are now at a point of contentment that men cannot reach because women have done the work. Women have invested in themselves. Women go to support groups. They find hobbies and interests outside of romantic love, things that make them feel good and give them happiness and the sense of peace without the need of another person. Men haven't done that. Y'all are still stuck in a time warp where you think you can leverage romance and marriage and shit over a woman. You can't. And I know a lot of men say, well, woman is lying if she's saying she don't want a man. Women never said they didn't want a man. Women said they're not going to settle for just any old man. And they're serious and they're standing on that, which is why y'all are getting fearful. The reason all this content is coming out, stuff like this, and the reason you're seeing this influx of hostility with these men and women is because men feel themselves losing the grasp that they've had on women. They've always been able to get one because of the way the social norms are set up. So while they're sitting around listening to the OG, that old person on the block that used to be cool, that has no family, no friends, no children that like him to speak of, we were listening to our grandmothers who were telling us what not to accept because they endured so much abuse at the hands of our grandfathers. But keep in mind that these men have been romanticizing the relationships that their grandparents had because they gave the grandfather all the leeway to do whatever he wanted. The woman was docile and meek and didn't complain. That's what they want. And in that, they're saying they don't want to elevate, because one thing y'all aren't invested in is therapy. And one thing that I know that I've observed about these men that think like this, they only place value in the fact that they're a man. And if they have a job, they place value in that. That's not nearly enough. They think that should be enough to get them a woman. But then you get the woman and you want her to go 50-50 with you, but you want to talk about being a leader. How can you lead if you need her assistance? It makes no sense. You know, women have been doing things 100% of the time anyway. And if you add that with going to therapy and taking the advice of the elders who taught them to want better, y'all are in two fundamentally different positions. And when men become fearful, they start to project their fears onto who they think is weaker, which is us. And we all know that's not true. But that's why they tell you, you know, you want a man. That's why they tell you, yeah, y'all not going to have no kids. You ain't going to have no legacy. They fear those things. They know that they need a woman to create a legacy. Men fear death because they're egotistical. They want to live on through their bloodline. And if y'all refuse to give them one, then they get frantic like these men are doing. They start saying little stuff like this. They would rather convince every single woman that she should lower her standards. Like, the bar is already in hell, so I don't know how much further it can go. But she should lower her standards to accept whatever type of man just to keep from being alone, because that's what they fear. If you look at these hospitals and these statistics, actually, the nurses will tell you that the people who die alone are men. It's not women dying alone. Women have people around them when they die because women invest in other relationships. Women have siblings. They have friends. They have godkids, nieces and nephews. They have people that love them, and they don't only find value in romantic love. Y'all got to stop doing that, because then you're going to end up dying alone, because that's the only thing you've placed value in. And I'm not even saying this to drag me. I know I don't like to do that, but I'm listening to what the men are saying and I'm listening to what the women are saying. And y'all are on two different pages. And what I'm saying is the difference is women have started doing work that men haven't. So for those of you who are in this position thinking like this man, y'all need to go to therapy. Start investing in yourself. You don't have to date anybody right now. You ain't got to fuck on nobody right now. Go to therapy and work on yourself. Get to a point where you see more in yourself than the fact that you're a man. There should be more to you than that you value about yourself, because that's where women are. And that's why women are in a position to not accept the okie dokie with y'all. They're not just going to take you. He's telling these women, you're going to have to accept this. Why would a woman accept a man that isn't good when she can just be alone and be happy? People are at a point of self-contentment that y'all don't understand because y'all haven't done the work. But when you do, you'll get it. And I hope y'all do it.
Wow, she said a lot, man. She pointed out several things that I disagree with. Excuse me. I do understand what she's saying. My concept is, if you're saying a woman does not want to settle, then why are we talking about cheating? Why are we talking about commitment? Why are we talking about consistency? Why are we even talking about requirements? They don't apply. If the woman would prefer to be single because she's learned how to love herself, she's learned how to be mentally strong and peaceful and find her own way mentally, physically, and spiritually, if that is the case, if what she's saying is accurate, why is it in everyday society you have women still coming up short with the expectations in the relationship? You don't hear men talking about these things. You hear women coming to shows and saying, why do men do these things? So that's my original piece. I can go a lot deeper, but I want to definitely get you guys to chime in on that.
Deb, do you have something to say?
I do.
I know you do.
So the first video with the dude, right? I get what he was trying to say. The delivery may have been off, but I think what I got from him saying is that the unicorn that women are looking for doesn't exist. The man that hits every mark that women want a man to hit, every woman isn't going to find that man, unfortunately, because there's not many men who hit every single mark that most women want a man to hit. That's what I got from what he was saying. I don't think he was saying that you should deal with shitty men.
Right.
I think he was saying that some of you women out there, you're not the caliber of women that is going to get the kind of man that you think you deserve to have, just because you think you deserve to have him. That's what I think he was saying, where I'm not saying people don't deserve the best and you shouldn't want the best for yourself, but to assume the reality that you're going to find a man that hits 10 marks out of 10 marks and you're going to settle for nothing less, that's fine. Like, you can feel that way. Every person has a right to feel that way, but don't blame men for you not finding that man that hits every mark, not understanding that very few men hit 10 out of 10 marks, just like very few women hit 10 out of 10 marks for men. There's no perfect person, right? So when it comes to settling, that's what I got from what he was saying. For the second video, the woman, I understood what she was saying, but she was saying like, yeah, why are we going to settle for going half on the bills, you cheating, STDs, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get that. What mature person is going to tell you to settle for a shitty relationship versus being single? Like, no man has, I don't know any man has ever said that. You are better off being in a shitty relationship than you are being single. That's false. No person believes that. Men don't believe that about themselves.
That's correct.
Men would rather be single than to be in a shitty relationship.
And that's the whole point. That's the point right there.
So no one's saying that. The third woman, I completely disagree with almost everything she said. Is because the first two gave their opinions about what they thought. The third one sounded like she was a damn therapist and she just knew men so well that she telling men what we are, why we egotistical, why we down on ourselves, that we need therapy. She went in on a whole different level that wasn't even opinion. She talked like she just knew men so well that she's telling me as a man that I need to go to therapy. And because I want children, that I'm egotistical. Never mind that God implanted something in men that makes us want to plant seeds and have children and those things that are natural in men. Never mind that. Men want kids because we're egotistical. That's just one thing she said that was incorrect. So the last one, I completely disagree with a whole lot of stuff she said.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we let Lady M go off and
right.
do her rant.
Right.
I'm gonna try to get one more piece. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get one more piece in because I know it's about to get ugly. So I will say also the last one, she said some things that men are fearful of dying, and then she put a stat out that men die first and die younger, and die alone. She
said men die alone.
Even if that stat was true. And I would probably believe that it is for Black men, especially Black men. If that stat was true, I don't think it's because of the topic that we're talking about.
Right.
I think it has a lot to do with men not taking accountability for their health, not taking accountability for a lot of things that Black men, a lot of things that go on with that. So that's one thing. Fear of dying alone, I completely disagree. It was almost like she was painting a picture of a man who wants to be in a relationship so bad because that dirtbag guy that wants to be in a relationship. But most men avoid commitment. We've spoken about this, and there are a lot of reasons why men avoid commitment. So you can't have one without the other. You know, having that concept that men haven't done the work mentally and throughout time, and she gave a timeline. I would agree with some of that, a piece of that when it comes to mental health, just like I spoke about physical health for Black men. But when it comes to relationship, typically the woman is the one that is initiating the growth in the relationship. Most men who are unsure of themselves, they won't want to commit. Most of those men who are playing the games, who are doing less than, they don't even want to commit because those lies and those truths will come out. So speaking as if, men want that. But again, like you said, Dub, it's definitely about decision making on both sides. But I definitely think women are kind of putting us in one group, and they're saying, hey, we don't need y'all. We don't need y'all. and we don't need to be in. We don't want to be in a relationship that's some BS. If we're gonna be in a real relationship, we want to be in a happy one. Or are you saying, sounded like the last woman was saying, we don't even need y'all, or the second woman was saying, we don't even need y'all. We date ourselves. We prefer to be single. So if you prefer to be single, my response to that is, why is it women are asking? Why is it I waited 5 years to get a marriage proposal? Why is it I waited 10 years? Why am I with this man for so long and I'm wasting my time with this man because he hasn't done the work to evolve in the relationship? That would contradict her whole statement, because he's not trying to be in a relationship. He's not trying to have babies by you. And if we're talking about babies, I don't know no man that makes the final decision on whether or not a baby is even being born. So I think the woman makes that decision. So that whole concept in which she threw out, as if men walking around trying to have babies, I just don't see it. I understand, Dub, your perspective on the anatomy of it and that aspect, but I just don't see dudes running around trying to have babies. I just don't see dudes running around trying to be in committed relationships, because that's what it sounded like she was talking about.
So this is the typical man versus woman conversation where, men hear one thing that they dislike, and, you guys try to just change the entire narrative. First of all, your male counterpart started this whole debacle. So let's be clear, okay? Where he stated that you women just gonna have to settle because there aren't enough straight men to give you what you want. And if there are straight men, they're either locked up, they're gay, or they're married. These were his exact words. And I believe that the three of us had somewhat of this conversation a couple weeks ago where I said the same thing. Okay. So your male counterpart said that, and he said, ladies, basically, there's not enough men to go around for what you're looking for. Bottom line, you're going to have to settle, right? He said, you're going to have to settle. Okay. So we're going to have to settle. So then my homegirl, which was the second video, which was the response, she said, this isn't anything new. We've been settling. And that's the thing. Yes. Did women initially, did we have, because we were told that, if you want this particular man, you write down a list of the qualities that you're looking for in a man, right? Or that you want to have. So we write these qualities down. We look at the deck in front of us and we're like, shit. All right, well, all of these qualities that I want, that's going to eliminate. Let's say we got a deck of 10 cards, right? Or a hand of 10 cards. That's going to eliminate 4. No, let's say 5. We're going to say half. That's going to eliminate 5 of the guys. Okay. Because they don't have all of the things that we have on our checkbox. They don't have that. So we're going to eliminate 5 of the guys. So we got 5 guys left. Well, 3 of the guys are married or in a relationship. So they're not available. So then we have 2 guys left to choose from. It's 7 women. Out of 7 women, we got 2 guys, on our little checkbox that we have to choose from. So then we go back to the drawing board and we like, okay, maybe we're being too picky. Maybe we need to eliminate some of the things that are on our checkbox, which we did. Okay. We eliminated a lot of shit on our checkbox. Okay. So in essence, we did end up settling. They may not make as much money as we want. They may have more than 2 children by 3 different women. However, they're good dads. We're not even going to paint a negative picture on it. Maybe they're good dads. You know what I'm saying? Or, maybe, he had a rough patch. He's staying with his mom. Okay, we're going to figure it out how we could, get him out of this. We've been settling. What this dude is saying is nothing new, right? It's nothing new. And I think so where it comes, we're at a point now where it's like, for women settling, first of all, I hate the word settling, right? Because it just sounds like, it's like he said, you either have something or you have nothing. And I think that's what pisses a lot of women off, is that how dare you as a man say, oh, you have me because I'm a man, or you don't have shit. Okay, then we won't have shit. We won't have shit. Because in the end, what the second reply and the third reply. Now, I don't agree with a lot of things that the third reply said, but I do agree with the majority of the things that she said. And what they're both saying is that men have made it so easy. Some men, not all men, some men have made it so easy for women to not give a fuck about being in a relationship, that what we have started to do is we have started to really, really take a step back, look at where we went wrong in our previous relationships. That's number one. Look at the men that we've chosen in our previous relationships, because anytime a woman is in a relationship with a bad man, it's our fault because we chose the wrong dude. Anytime a woman is sexually assaulted, it's our fault because what did you have on? Did you have on a mini skirt? Did you have on a tight shirt? So anything that a woman does that involves a negative space on the male counterpart, it's always our fault. So we go back and of course we internalize, well, what did I do wrong? Well, why doesn't he love me? Well, it's something that I said, it's something that I did. It's, so we take all of this we take everything internally, and then we go into a depression. So now we like, you know what? Forget this. We want to be healthy. We want to be vibrant. We want to live. And a man does not determine that for us. It's been embedded in women for years that if you are a single woman, it's like you are the scum. You are beneath the soil, because why you don't got a man? A man for women defines, and as a man, you can't say that. You don't hear your mother saying, oh, when are you going to get married? Your girlfriends are saying, girl, I found this man. I think you should, be in a relationship. It is society. Society places these norms that if you are a single woman, there is something wrong with you, right? And so, but now that we are growing and we are doing what my two women were saying, when we are doing the work, meaning we're cultivating other relationships. We're cultivating relationships other than romantic relationships, because a romantic relationship does not define you. A romantic relationship does not define a woman. Either one of my ladies say we don't want or need a man. First of all, need is a stretch, because you shouldn't really need anything but air to breathe in your lungs, food in your stomach. Should you want and desire to have a counterpart? Absolutely. But as a grown adult, functioning adult, you should never need, man or woman, you should never need an individual. Do you want them? Absolutely. Can it be a great thing to have a good, healed man that, a matured man that is doing the work? Absolutely. Will we bring trauma to each other, both male and female? Absolutely. But what they're saying is that we have begun to cultivate other relationships outside of romantic relationships with men, because that is what has started to fulfill us. We have cultivated friendships. We may go to the gym by ourselves, and we come out the gym and we got 3 new friends because now we're gym buddies. We done took a class together, or we take cooking classes, or we go back and further our education, or we try to heal our relationships with our parents that may have caused us trauma previously, because we want to know what is wrong with us, because there's all this negative connotation that if you are a single woman, or there's always something wrong with you, and that's not it. And so now we're just like, we will wait. We are okay with being single. And yes, there are some women who we do want to know why men cheat. We do want to know, why does it take a man so long to commit? We do want to know, what is it that really is going to make a man happy? You want to know why? Because we're trying to learn, you guys, so that when we do get into our next relationship, we will try not to make those mistakes again, or we will try to be able to look at the men and make better choices, since we choose the wrong men all the time. And so I think when it's something about when a man hears a woman say that she's single and she chooses to be single because she's happier, it's like, it's a trigger for y'all. Like, damn, y'all don't want to see us happy? Y'all just want us to be fucking miserable in these miserable ass relationships? No, let us, we're not, and that's the thing. Single women, we're not saying we're single because we hate men. Neither one of those women said that. Neither one of those women said that. Neither one of those women said we're single because we don't like men. Neither one of them said that. What we say to y'all is, yo, we love y'all, but y'all got a lot of work to do. Like, we know we got a lot of work to do. We see it in all of the fucking failed relationships that we have or had. We are saying to y'all, though, we need y'all to be a little bit better, because we want to love y'all. We want to be there for y'all. We want to support y'all, in which we do all the time. And no, we shouldn't have to necessarily, what I took from the guy saying settle is like, yeah, you just gonna have to get what you get. The fuck? So y'all just not gonna try to work on yourselves at all to make sure that you're providing something worth having to these women? Like, the nerve. Like, it pisses me off, because take accountability for your own actions. And yeah, men ain't running around here talking about or making the final decisions on having babies, but shit, you got Nick Cannon, you got fucking Future, they out here just having babies by 100 women and shit, all these broken homes. Like, come on. Like, at some point, women in our groups, we do hold each other accountable. You guys may not see that because you're not a woman. But if I call my girlfriend today and I'm like, hey, yo, let me tell you what happened with such and such. And she may say, you know what, Mo, I think you handled that wrong. You shouldn't have said that. You should have did this. You should have did that. Next time, you don't need to do that. However, you have some men in their friendship groups who have babies, children that they don't even take care of. Not one time do y'all be like, hey, yo, I'm not fucking. You don't take care of your kid? You can't fuck. I can't fuck with you. I can't hang around you. You're not providing a home for your kid. You're not being consistent for your kid. So when you talk about women, when she said, it's ego, the egotistical part, I don't really agree with that. However, I do think there is some lack of accountability, because there are some men who run around like Future and Nick Cannon and try to justify, and it don't even start with them, because there are some low budget Futures and Nick Cannons out here that's doing the same thing, right? Because they think it's cute, or just because they just don't want to strap up. And it's the women's fault too, because they shouldn't be having babies by these men. And that's the thing. It's easy for a woman to say, you need to, that was a horrible decision you made. I have not seen one man out here say, what the hell is Future and Nick Cannon thinking, creating all of these broken homes in our community? No, that shit is glorified. It is, I want a Nick Cannon. If I had as much money as Nick Cannon had, I'd do the same thing. But why? Why? Look at our community now. The babies, anyway, I'm going off. Let me reel it back, because we talking about single women. So anyway, back to what I was saying. It's like, men hate when a single woman is being single, but then they'll say, oh, if a woman is in a relationship and she's listening to her single friends, oh, you listening to somebody who ain't even in a relationship, she giving you this bad advice. But which I don't even understand. It don't even be the single women half the time. It be the women that be in the relationships that call us because they can't stand it sometimes to be in that space. And so we just provide feedback on what they say. It ain't like we call them and be like, girl, why you still married? Why you still in a relationship? The majority of women do not do that. We don't. So I say all of this to say, to my ladies, be single if you want to be single. Be happy, thrive, flourish, just go deep into whatever it is you want to do. Love on your kids, love on yourself, love on your mother, father. Go get your therapy, do whatever you need to do. Do not put your entire focus on why you aren't in a relationship, because once you do the work and once you heal yourself, that relationship, that man, he's going to come to you. He'll be there. It's not like we're really missing out on anything right now. Chill out, relax, do what you need to do for yourself. And when the right time comes, you get the man, or you meet the guy that, check off half of the checks in your box, and that you're willing to compromise and not settle, but to compromise for, do it. But don't just jump into relationships because society tells us as women that we have to be in a relationship. We have to be married because it makes us less of a woman if we're not. It does not. It doesn't. Before I stop, I just got a couple things I wanted to say to y'all. And I pulled up a couple stats, right, while I was listening to these people talking. And so, first of all, when you talk about their therapy, according to CDC, 20% of women receive therapy compared to 15% of men. So it is a fact that men are not really receiving therapy as they should. And I wish that you guys really will. Every time I say something to a man, or I talk to one of my male friends and I'm like, hey, won't you, they tell me about, because a lot of it don't even have to do with romantic relationships. It's trauma from childhood. Won't you go and see? I ain't talking to no therapist. Okay. Well, you don't feel comfortable talking to your boys either, because you can't even be vulnerable with your boys. And that's the thing. If men could be vulnerable with your boys, you will probably feel less stressed. You will probably live longer lives. It is what it is.
So I'll start from the end. The statistic, right? It was 26% women and 15% men.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you said. Is that right? So I definitely agree that men definitely need to start going to therapy, especially African American men. That I agree on 100%. Mm-hmm. What I disagree on is making a comparison to women and men, and then look at that number and say, men, y'all need to do the work that women are doing, because 26% ain't a lot either. Everyone needs to start going to therapy more, men and women. Yes, 26% is more than 15, but 26% is not a lot, right? But instead of just recognizing that everyone needs to up their therapy game, why do we compare men? Look, it's 26 with us and 15 of y'all. Yes, men should start going to therapy more. I completely agree with that. What I'm saying is that everyone needs to start going to therapy more, men and women, because that 26% should be 50. That 15% should be 50 or 60 or 70 or a bigger number. So yes, one is more, but it doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't even mean that it should be compared, because men and women's traumas and the things that we deal with in the world are different things. The world stresses men out differently than it stresses women out. So it's hard to compare what a man's trauma and therapy session is going to be compared to a woman's, because we are different people. We're a different species. We think different. We react different. So that cannot be compared. That's not a win-win argument or conversation. There's no winning in saying we do 26 and y'all do 15. I'm not saying for you directly, Lady M. I'm just saying the last young lady who was comparing that about women going to therapy and men need to, okay, she was right. I get it. But to make it sound like women are doing this such a bang up job that men aren't doing because they go to therapy a little more than men do is not the right response to that. That's what I disagree with. The answer is everyone should start going to therapy more, not just men, women too. That number should be higher. I would like that number to be higher for everyone. That's the part about that therapy thing that I disagree with, right? The comparison, because we're different, and that can't be compared. The other part is men don't judge women for being single. Women judge women for being single.
Please say that again.
There's no man that walks into a room, looks at a woman and goes, "Oh man, she's single. What the fuck is wrong with her?"
Absolutely.
No man does that.
That's not true. That's not true.
Maybe no man is a harsh word, but very few men do that.
Well, and also we know, because we men, and we have been at every level of how men think. So I can't tell a woman how she thinks. I can't tell a woman what she has experienced with a man and what he may have said to her. But what I'm saying to you is that from my experience, from the women in my family, from the women that I've dealt with, the evaluation comes from the women. If you have a single woman, she's being evaluated by her society. It may be in the workplace. I will give you that. In the workplace, she may be evaluated based on whether or not she is single by a man.
Yeah.
But in your a woman's personal space, men typically do not evaluate women based on the fact that she's single. It is women who put the pressure on the single woman and then come and have that conversation with the man. And because they confide in women, whether it be a mother, a sister, a really good friend, but those evaluations that you talked about, when it comes to who evaluates single women, I would have to strongly disagree with, because I just don't hear men talking about, man, I can't deal with her. She's single. That's something wrong with her. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to the concepts that we've all been talking about. It doesn't add up to the concept of men not wanting to commit. Again, it comes back to that concept. If you're talking about men not wanting to commit, it is impossible for a man to evaluate you for being single. They contradict one another. The thought process for a man contradicts. He can't say one and then say, I don't want to commit. Why would he even care? Why would he even care whether or not a woman is single if men don't commit?
Yeah, if he didn't even care about committing in the first place,
right?
He wouldn't care what your situation was.
Absolutely.
But that's just the thing. I never said that it was men who judge women for being single. I said society. I said
no,
society
places. You said men evaluate women for being single. I wrote it down.
But they do, and I'm gonna tell you why. But I also said the pressure comes from society, and the pressure comes from our mother and our fathers and our aunties and stuff like that. So I did say that. However, I have met men and they'll say to me, "Oh, you got a man?" And I'm like, "No." "Oh, you single? Why you single? What's wrong with you? Why I gotta be something wrong with me because I'm single?" And I've had that happen to me numerous times. So men do that.
I would say to that. I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you on that. I would agree that you probably have heard men say that, and I've heard men say that. But a real evaluation of you, I would say he's not saying that. I would say that's him just talking shit. And actually, I'm not sure what the terminology is, but it's just a game he's playing to make conversation. But him to really evaluate you and not know you, and he may be, he may have a situation. He may be a married man. Who knows what his situation may be. But I will give you that. I don't want to cut you off, but I've seen a man actually say that, like, "Why are you single?" But let me tell you, when he says that, it's more of a man trying to compliment you, to say you're a beautiful woman. You should have a man, more so than a man saying there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, it's not that deep. When a man says that in that type of environment, he's not thinking as deep as judgment.
Right.
He's saying from what I've seen so far, I don't understand why you're single from what I've seen so far.
Yeah,
And try to make a ploy or conversation about it. But I don't think men in that kind of space, men don't think that deep about something like that.
Men don't think that deep at all.
Yeah,
Most men don't
yeah.
think that deep at all.
Yeah, we don't go that deep about that.
Right. And I would think it's just a dumb way to give you a compliment. He can be more specific about you're a beautiful woman. You got a lot going on for you. I'm just really surprised that you don't have somebody trying to get at you every day. That kind of statement or something like that.
Right.
But, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. And that's, for me, that's all I was trying to point out from your statement.
And I'll say, I don't think people are saying you should be in a shitty relationship versus being single. At least that's not what I'm saying. I'll speak for me. I would never tell anyone that. I would never tell a man that. I would never say, look, bro, you better off being in a bad relationship with a woman than just being by yourself. Like, I think that's an obvious choice. You would obviously be single until you find the person that's right for you. Right. That's fair to say. The challenge that I have wrapping my head around is saying I'd rather be single and I'm happy being single. That's fine. The challenge I have with that type of statement is that it says to me that you're not looking for a relationship at all, which was saying that even if the right man comes along, I'm gonna tell him, nah, I'm good. Because I'm good single. But then what I'm saying is, then the narrative in my mind should be, I'm single until I find the right man for me.
Right.
I don't want to be single. I'm dealing with being single and I'm working on being happy for myself, but I actually do want to be in a relationship with someone. That sounds like two different things to me. Right. A woman boasting and bragging about being single and being happy and being her best self and living life and whoop-de-whoop, that's great. That's fine. But to then turn that back on men and say it's because of men that I'm single and happy in all this space, well, then your decision is still being made because of men. You're not even making a decision based off of your decision. You're making a decision based off of your situation and status with men. Whereas a woman who really truly wants to be single, she ain't checking for no man. She don't give a damn if the Princess Zamunda show up at her doorstep. She gonna say, you know what, bro, you check all my boxes. You a 10 out of 10. But you know what? I can't do it. I don't want to be married. I'm gonna rock with you. This can be whatever it's gonna be. You the perfect man for me. And you know what? If I cared about getting married, I would marry you, but I don't. I'd rather stay single.
Right.
That's the woman who wants to be single. But if you say, if the right man who checks all the boxes come and knocks on my door tomorrow, I'm coming off the single market, then you don't want to be single. You're only single because of your circumstances. And any right-minded person makes the best of their circumstances. So my problem is when women boast about that, like they're doing some extravagant thing, that's a normal thing that people do. You make the best of your circumstances. You build your own happiness. That's what everyone should be doing that.
Yeah, you protect yourself.
Right. But it's like, it's weird to hear women say that they are doing that because of bad men. No, you're doing that because you should do that as you wait for the right man. That's the normal thing you should be doing. There's nothing abnormal about that. So we have to stop celebrating this abnormality of, I'm tired of dealing with shitty people. I'm just going to be single. You should be. You should have never gave the shitty dudes a chance. This entire time, you should have been single until the right guy comes along. That's actually normal. That's what men kind of do. That's why it's hard for us to commit, because we play games until we find the right one to commit to and marry.
There you go.
Men who jumping around and question about being committed, it's not that he may not want to be married or committed. He just hasn't come across the right one woman that is different from all the other ones to say, you know what, this is the one I'm gonna commit to. That's the only difference between men who married and men who ain't. Now there are some men who like, I ain't never getting married. But that's a fear thing. That's because of the whole divorce and the money, and it's other stuff behind that we haven't talked about.
Right, but that's a good segue, Dub, to the statement that the lady at the end said, a fear of being alone. How can a man have a fear of being alone? Which I think should be, I mean, in my own personal opinion, I think you should think about that. But typically most men say, I ain't never getting married.
Yeah, and women are saying it too, which is fine.
Right,
I think that's fair, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be in that single space, to be happy with who you are, happy with what you have, satisfied with your life, and then bring someone into it, and you go into theirs and have these questions and fears about what if this doesn't work, right? If you think like that, then you're not relationship material. You cannot go into anything fearful that it won't work. You're not going to put your all into it. That's just what I think. Like even a business deal, you don't go and do a business deal scared that, I don't know, this might not work. So for men and women, I think that's the right choice. Yes, you should stay single if there's a fear of, I don't know, this might get, this might get effed up. Then stay single. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, let's stop celebrating being single because people think that is saying something about the other gender. I'm happy being single because women ain't shit. I'm happy being single because men ain't shit. That has to stop being a narrative. You're happy being single because what else would you be? You haven't found the right person. So what would you call yourself? You're a victim of the circumstance that you're in. It's called being single.
I just don't think men in general, initially speaking, in that context of trying to compliment a woman in a stupid way, but I just truly don't think that men evaluate women because they're single in a negative connotation. I think men prefer that. I think men prefer a woman who wants to remain single because he can either work on himself or play the game that he wants to play. It's no pressure for him to step to the plate and do anything if a woman has that mentality of, I'm doing me, I'm working on me, I'm happy being single. I don't have to deal with a man letting me down. I don't have to deal with the man abusing me. I don't have to deal with the man pretending to be something he's not. I would prefer to stay single and date. I just think that it just creates, I think that creates an advantage for a man who is unsure about commitment. So so when the narrative is given that men put this negative connotation out because of single women, based on that first statement, thinking that women need to settle for this or that, I think, the interpretation could go a lot of different ways when it come to that. But just like Michelle Obama has spoken about her and Barack, and shit is never fair. It's sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it's 70-30. Sometimes it was him that was holding it down. Sometimes it was me that was holding it down. And I think initially, I think that's what he was trying to say. I just think he delivered it wrong. You know what I mean? In a different way, where it was make a woman think that she had to choose a man that wasn't of her caliber or worthy, and that she just should just take shit. And I don't think he was really trying to say that. I think he was really trying to deliver a message that Michelle Obama was really trying to say. Like, it's never fair. It's never 50-50.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a phase where the woman is going to lead the way and hold the man down. And women have been doing that for a long time in a lot of situations throughout time based on certain circumstances, especially when it comes to children, especially when it comes to the household in the 80s and in the early 90s and things like that. So, I mean, I get it. I completely understand that. But again, I just don't think men are walking around shaming women that are single or evaluating women that are. I just don't think men evaluate women on no level on a lot of different things because I just don't think we are that deep. I don't think we even care about most of those things. And the reason why is because initially most men are coming to the table with a physical mindset, unless there's unless he has goals to getting married and or wanting children. But again, that's rare. Most men don't date with that type of purpose. Women do, but most men don't. Most men are just dating. And if they happen to fall in love and meet a woman and she's it, then those things come to play. But when you meet a man on the first date, it's rare he's talking about, I want some kids, I want to get married, because that might
happens.
happen.
Yeah, it's rare, but it's does
rare.
happen.
But I mean,
yeah,
like, lady, and what's your experience on that? How do you feel about it?
I've ran into men, and then the first couple of weeks they're like, "Yeah, I want you to," and it could be bullshit that they talking. Yeah, I want you to be my wife, or I want you to have my baby.
That's what I was gonna go with. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, I didn't want to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are men out there. They do that shit. Like they really do. They do
because
that.
They think it's what you want to hear. They think it's what
because
you
they
want
think they think it's what you want to hear. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of women who, if they already have children, they ain't listen. We're not looking for that. We don't want to do the whole baby mama thing no more. We're over that shit.
Right.
So I wanted to also say this. Like, I think what the two ladies that responded, well, especially the second lady, like when the man is saying that, you guys are going to have to settle, right? You might have to go 60-40. You might have to go, what do you say, 80-20? You might have to go 50-50. And what we're saying as women is that's nothing new, right? Like anything that he just said, that nothing was new about anything that he said, because as women, we live it, right? We already know it. We live it. We know that, I might have to, if he got a couple kids, if he got 2 kids and he paying child support, I might have to cover the majority of the rent if we live together, or, whatever it is. So we already kind of go in that mindset. And most women, I'm not going to say the majority, but most women are, especially if you're a decent dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be a perfect, first of all, there's no perfect man, there's no perfect woman. But if you are a decent dude, a woman doesn't mind doing any of that. A woman will do that. And a lot of times a woman will do it for a nigga that ain't decent. You know what I'm saying? So what he was saying, there was nothing new about anything he said. I think what upset women is because there are a lot of men with the mentality that they don't have to do a lot. They don't have to do a lot of work when it comes to holding their weight in a relationship, because women are so pressed to be in a relationship or to be with a man because society is saying that if she's single, she ain't shit, pretty much. But because women are so pressed to be in a relationship with a man, that we have to settle for a man that does not bring even 30%. And we're not talking about financially. We're talking about emotionally. We're talking about, emotion. We're talking about physically. And when I say physically, I'm just going to be honest. The majority of men don't know how to fuck.
Oh, shit.
And I'm going to keep it 100% real. And you know why? Because they don't even take the time to understand and know the person that they're having sex with. They think sex is just a physical action. It is not. When it comes to a woman, sex is mentally. Sex is mental. That shit is mental first. And then it becomes a physical. The more of a connection you develop mentally and emotionally with a woman, she gonna just pour everything she has into this man. And men only think, like you said, Trey, on surface, that they think that all they gotta do is bring in a couple dollars into the relationship, and that's gonna make her. That's all she need. And I'm a slang this dick every now and again, and she good.
So let me ask you this: how are those men having sex?
listen, I'm saying that women, you know, that there are some women that's just going to give it to them. Right.
So
it don't mean it's good though.
Right.
It don't mean that it's good.
No, I get
That's
what you're
I'm
saying. Yeah, I got you. What I'm saying is that yes, men definitely have to take responsibility for our sexual prowess and sexual actions, right? And there was one thing you said earlier about men having a bunch of kids, you know what I'm saying, and taking responsibility. And I do think that men, especially African American men, we have to play a better part in protecting our seed. You know what I'm saying? So that is a responsibility I definitely think men need to take more control of. And I will also say that sex is a choice between two consenting adults.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's not only men out here having sex just because they want to have sex. There is a woman that has to want to have sex with that man. And there's a woman who is also choosing to allow that man to not wear protection. And they're both making this choice. Right. So I agree with you 100%. But again, I go back to, let's not make it sound like it's 80% the man's problem and the man's issue that is happening. It is also women's issue that is happening. But my concern is that most women only are talking to the men. I don't hear women telling the other women, look, sis, you need to start choosing men better. You need to not have sex with X, Y, and Z dude just because he's doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 months. I'm not saying put a time limit on it, right? But I will say that I don't hear women talking to women. I hear women trying to tell men what to do and how to do, mostly. And I feel that if women protected that piece of them more, then those type of men would be weeded out. Because if a woman chooses not to have sex and they do anyway, there's a word when a woman doesn't voluntarily want to do that. And it doesn't happen if she doesn't voluntarily want to do it. And I'm not saying it's her fault. It's two consenting adults. But what I will say is, again, during that time of being single and during that time of working and being in therapy and all the good things people should be doing anyway, right? Maybe that is a piece that women need to start not allowing to happen. And if the dude needs that and he wants that and he ain't going to stick around without, you giving it to him, then maybe you should just let him walk out the door. And again, not be scared to be single again. And I think that's what I think women are trying to say, that we are no longer scared to be single, that we are willing to deal with whatever we have been dealing with out of fear of being single. And I get that and I applaud that. But make that the conversation. We aren't sticking around because we're scared to be single anymore. That's fair. But let's not say, oh, I'm happy being single and single is the shit and I'm doing this and I'm doing that because y'all men ain't shit. No, that's not what it is. You just ain't come across a good man yet. Just say that. I'm saving myself for a good dude. I ain't having sex because I'm saving myself for a good dude. I'm not getting in a relationship yet because I'm saving myself for a good dude. And yeah, I'm dating around, but they okay. They ain't hit the mark yet. You know what I'm saying?
I think there are a lot of women that do say that though. Like, I think because if we're going to be honest, women become celibate longer than men. Like, women can go a year without having sex. I have not heard a man say, I'm practicing celibacy.
People do it.
People do it. They do.
Yeah, people do it.
But
I don't think you could. Go ahead, Mom. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say, like, more so women, women than men. And I do think
I would agree to that.
And I do think, yes, could single women say we're single because we just haven't found the right ones? I think that's really, that is what we're saying, right? Because we looked at our past relationships and we said, oh, hell no, I can't. I really don't want to continue to make these same mistakes. So let me just relax on the whole dating thing, on the whole, having sex with different partners type thing. Let me just relax. Let me work on myself. Let me just, whatever it is until I feel like I'm ready to start either dating again, or until I feel like I've met someone who, I'm willing to stop to break my celibacy or to be in a relationship with. And I think that's pretty much what we're saying. It's not, I think when you hear from women and we're like, yes, we're single and we're proud of it, it's because we've been told again from society for so long, or from our mother or father, like, there's an issue with you being single. How does what someone else do, or what someone else decides to do with their life, how is that an issue for you? Because it's just always been a stigma that if you are not a married woman, then you are not a good cause to society. If you're not married, if you are not, and this stems from before our parents' time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're not a married woman, you really have what is your cause to society? You don't have a husband. So when you hear women celebrating, and I don't necessarily think that they're celebrating, because ultimately we really do want to find that counterpart, whether we want to get married or not. I mean, that's a different discussion, but we really do want to find that counterpart. We just, we ain't made it there yet. So now we just trying to really love on ourselves, and you know what I'm saying? Do that
Right.
That part. So when you hear us like celebrating, it's not like we're celebrating to kind of throw it in men's faces. We ain't really trying to do that. Although, for some women, they are single because they've just they've chose a lot of shitty men. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like, that is it for some women.
Yeah, right.
And that is fair.
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, I just want this only thing I want to say, and I'll step out. So what you said about what you're saying versus what's actually being said are two different things. Because if the verbiage was what you just said was, yes, I think I'm gonna stay single. I think I'm gonna stay celibate until I meet a good dude and the right dude comes along. At least that's telling the men who aren't the shitty men that they exist. But when you say, I'm just going to be single, I'm going to do me, I'm going to be happy because men ain't shit, then you've put all the good men in the bucket with the bad men. And then when the good men see you, they like, you know what? She's not going to know how to treat me because she don't even know I exist. Because she thinks I'm like the dude she just messed with. So saying it the first way at least gives the good men an optimistic view of, women in general, saying, you know what? Well, at least women are saying they know men like me exist and they are looking for me, versus fuck y'all. We're not looking for y'all at all, because all of y'all are the same. All of y'all are trash. We tired of all of y'all. Those are two different things. And if the intention is the first way, then say that, so that it sounds like women are protecting good men and discarding bad ones. Most men would agree with that. Most good men would agree with women doing that. But women make it sound like you're discarding all men. And if that's what you're doing, that's fair too. But those are two different messages. And that's all I kind of wanted to say with that.
No, I agree. I agree with what both of y'all was actually saying. Mo, you definitely touched on a few things when it came to women confiding into their parents and their friends and their girlfriends and that kind of thing. I guess at some point, when we talk about a woman's experience with a man, a lot of this for me is very simple, and it sounds like men and women do not want to have the tough conversations